What's up, everybody? Hope y'all are doing good. Y'all, I had to put on my sunglasses for this video because where I'm at, the sun, it is so freaking bright, and I will be squinting the whole time. And I know y'all don't want to sit and watch me squint because by the time I'm done with the video, I'll have a headache from hell. So, just went ahead and slid these on. But today's video, y'all, is going to be something. I have other people ask me how I feel about certain things, and I had someone ask me, what are my thoughts on hooking up? Since, that's just such a common thing nowadays for people to do because it's so easy to do. And, I think a lot of people, if you've seen my other videos, would probably think that my viewpoint on it was not very good, that it was probably, a lot more conservative. And, because I am a spiritually based person. And, I am a practicing Catholic. But to me, hooking up is not just this taboo, sinful, horrible thing like some people think it is. The area that I live in and grew up in the Deep South, that was something that was looked down on. People did it, but people did it in secret. And if you were open about it, well, you were considered kind of trash for the most part. But I don't look at it that way. And I know in the gay community, hooking up is it's like a daily thing. I mean, you hear about it anywhere, anytime, from anyone. It's not something that people just are, oh my God, I can't believe they hooked up. I mean, it's something that is a lot more socially acceptable now than what it used to be, let's say, 20, 30 years ago. And because of all the apps we have and social media, you can meet people like so much easier, and you're able to do more interaction with people, even if it's sexually based. But my thing on hookups, y'all, is I don't think it's morally wrong. I don't at all. I don't think it's bad. I don't think that it's just disgusting and these people are they're living these sinful lives and going to hell. I do not believe that. Sometimes I think people make sex it's more taboo than what it really is. I mean, to me, it's completely natural. It's a part of life. That's how me and you got here, was sexual interaction between two people. And to me, it's the same, whether it's between a male and a female, two males, two females. Sex, is sex. I don't really see much of a difference. It's the same kind of bonding and interaction with another person. But I don't think it's something that should just be looked down on. My only problem with hookups is that it bothers me when people, for instance, are in relationships. There's some relationships that they're both on the same page on each end. They both hook up with other people, hook up together. I know people that do that. But my biggest problem is when you're in a relationship with someone and you're doing it behind their back. If you're doing it, you're lying about it, and you're not telling them. You're putting your health and other people's health at risk. That's when I draw the line. So, to me, it's not a bad thing as long as it is 100% consensual, legal, and there's no dishonesty in it, and you're protecting or being cautious of your health and the other person's health. Then no, I don't see a big deal about it. But a huge problem, this is in the straight community too, but a huge problem that I have noticed throughout my life in the gay community is the amount of hookups that are going on, but they are coming from a place of dishonesty. They're just lying about it. They're lying behind other people's backs to do it. And, I think a lot of that comes with shame. I think gay people carry a lot of shame for who they are. So therefore, they feel like when they hook up with someone that it's dirty or that it's shameful, because that's how I felt. Hookups was never my thing, ever. I don't know. I never was comfortable with it. I just have never, ever been comfortable having sexual relations with someone that I don't know. Even if I know who they are and we're acquaintances, I can never get comfortable enough to move forward with anything. I don't know. I used to think maybe I had like a problem. I used to think I was weird because I couldn't do it, and I felt like I had to do that because that's what everyone else did. When you're young like that, you want to fit in, you want to feel loved, and so you'll make yourself do stupid shit that you shouldn't do. Peer pressure is a real thing. And unfortunately, I had the ability and the choice to say no, but of course, Dylan being Dylan, I made myself go through with stuff, and the stuff that I didn't want to do that made me uncomfortable. But at the same time, you know, I learned lessons from it, you know, so I know exactly what I like and what I don't like. But, you know, I have friends, y'all, and even family members that's their lifestyle. And one of my gay cousins, he is married to another man. And they're in the whole throuple thing. I think there's another word for that. All I ever hear is people calling it a throuple. But they're in, let's say, a polyamorous relationship, and they brought a third guy in. They all live together like a normal couple, just with one extra person. And then at the same time, on the side, they hook up with each other's friends and all this. You know, I mean, it's a lot. That is not for me. God Almighty, that is not for me. I would be so tired. I would just be so overwhelmed that I just wouldn't want anyone to touch me regardless. But, because I don't like getting overwhelmed like that. There's just too much going on at one time. But, you know, they love their life. They are very happy with the way they live. Their relationships are absolutely great. They're healthy. They're very close. And if that helps your relationship to be stronger and healthier and better, then, you know, you do you. Don't let someone else tell you what you or your relationship needs. You know, you're going to have people that be like, oh, you shouldn't do that. That's just going to destroy your relationship, blah, blah, blah. For some people, yes, it might. It might absolutely ruin it for all we know. But for some people, that may not be the case. And, you know, they're adults. That's their decisions to do that. And that's another thing about hooking up is the amount of stories I have heard from people on Grindr meeting each other, hooking up, and somebody lying about their age and actually being underage. That is a freaking nightmare. Like, oh my God, I would freak out if somebody did that to me. I feel bad for people that have got tricked into that because, you know, I mean, of course, y'all know you can get in so much trouble for that. And I know people that's happened to, and God help them, it caught them by surprise. And, you know, I think that's terrible. That's wrong. That right there makes hooking up wrong and bad if you're doing it with that kind of intention and with, you know, such dishonesty. And, you know, also hooking up, another thing that really, I guess, kind of deters me from doing it is sexual health. Because STDs are so easy to get. They're so common. You know, most people have had one. I mean, it's not some rarity that, you know, oh, such and such had an STD, you know, like 1 in a million. No, I mean, they're easy to catch. But some of them you can't get rid of. And, you know, I personally would not want to have something lingering in my life forever over a one-night stand that probably wasn't even any good. I mean, that's just how I feel about it. It would have to have been great for me to want to carry that around for the rest of my life. So, you know, when you're not taking care of your health, and what's bad is people don't give a shit about other people's health. I know stories of people that had HIV, knowingly had it, was not on treatment, didn't care, and I know the name in my head right now, but I would never say it. But he was out hooking up with people and spreading it. Apparently, he had a fetish of contracting people with HIV, and that is so fucked up and sick. Like, oh my God, that's disgusting. But it's just, I guess that was just like a kink of his, and, you know, that is so morally wrong to do that, you know, to people that don't know. And I don't know, maybe these people just didn't ask, or hell, maybe some of them knew, I don't know. But going out and doing that, you know, and messing with people's lives like that is, you know, that's so wrong. And, you know, I know HIV is not a death sentence by any means. You know, people live long, normal, healthy lives now. But still, it's not something that you want to carry around because the stigma associated with it, you know, you tell someone you have HIV and automatically they think you're dirty. They don't want to be with you. You know, they don't want to have sex with you. And, you know, on top of that, you're probably going to be taking medications for a very, very long time. So, you know, it's good to be cautious. But, you know, and if you are into that kind of lifestyle of hooking up, just be careful, you know, because sometimes I've heard more stories of people hooking up with someone who turned out to be crazy. You know, I've heard stories of people getting killed. And, you know, y'all, I know I'm probably like off the wall, probably thinking about the worst case scenarios. That's just me though. But, you know, it still does happen. You can't ignore it. Because the moment you ignore it and think it won't happen to you, it normally does, at least for me. It's always the stuff you think, oh, that will happen to someone else. And then when it happens to you, it's a completely different story, and it's very scary and can be quite traumatizing. I know from life experiences. So, guys, that's the video for today. I just wanted to answer that on how I felt about hookups. kind of clear that up, because I've noticed with some of my comments, I swear people think I'm like this conservative, backwoodsy, super evangelical Christian guy. You know, that's how I was raised, and the southern accent, you know, may contribute to that, I know, but that is not true. I am a lot more liberal and open-minded than you guys probably ever will even know. So, guys, thank you so much for watching today. I will be back shortly with another video. Y'all have a wonderful weekend, and I will see you soon. Goodbye.